right. Tonight on Serious and Silliness, we have the king of bodybuilding, King Kamali. What's up, man? How you doing?
What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
Hanging in there. So during the I'd say like late 90s and the early 2000s, you were an elite bodybuilder, but you were like an early before social media troublemaker, if you will. You know,
Okay.
you were like ahead of everybody else.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
Yeah, you were ahead of your time, right?
Yeah, we're just having fun. I think the original three were me, Dennis James, and Melvin.
Oh, really? I didn't know
Yeah,
that story.
me and Dennis were the first because we just started the smack talk and all that stuff. But
With each other or just with everybody?
just it wasn't really even smack talk. It was just starting to have some fun. I just wanted to have some fun,
Mm-hmm.
and it started with the countdown pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 8 weeks out, 7 weeks out, and then my legendary kitchen light, and the lights in the kitchen pictures.
Yeah, it was
So
early goon light, right?
exactly. So all that stuff started, and then eventually it just popped off with the whole East Coast West Coast battles and all that stuff. And then next thing you know, I mean, I wish we had social media back then. Right now, I'd have 20 million followers.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no question about it. You know, Dennis James, he was like an odd bodybuilder. You used to see him in the magazines or whatnot, and you'd be like, wow, this guy's Mr. Olympia. And then you kind of saw him on stage and it was like, but I think I guess that goes with everybody, right? You see them on stage, you see him in a picture, and it kind of goes with everybody.
Listen, you're not going to post any pictures that you don't like.
That's true. That's true.
You're going to post pictures that you look in the best light. And you look at anybody's Instagram, you never see a bad picture. You know why? Because they'll take 1,000 pictures and
yeah, that's true. That's true.
So that's the whole case with that. But we all have our flaws. Even Ronnie Coleman has his flaws. Jay Cutler has his flaws. Dexter Jackson has his flaws. But you take that and what did Arnold say? You're like a sculptor. You just start adding on and you make it better.
Mm-hmm.
Phil Heath. When I first saw Phil Heath competing as an amateur, I didn't think he's going to be anything.
Right.
Really, I thought he's good, but I didn't think he's going to be wow, amazing.
Right. Sure.
And listen, there's a reason why they call him the gift. He was gifted.
So, take me to the beginning. What made you get into bodybuilding?
That's what everybody did in my high school.
Okay, and did you go to high school here?
No, I went to high school in Northern Virginia, Marshall High School.
Okay, all right. Were you born in the States or your parents were immigrants?
No, I was born in Iran, and we came here during right before the revolution.
Okay. So what year about?
79 we came here, I believe.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So everybody in high school was into bodybuilding, and who were the bodybuilders that you?
Well, no, not bodybuilding, lifting weights.
Lifting weights, yeah, right. I think every kid is into that, like in high school.
If you saw the movie Remember the Titans,
sure.
Okay, you remember Coach Yost, who was coaching the Titans?
Yeah.
Well, he came to our school. He came
really
to Marshall, and what happened is when he came to Marshall, I was a freshman. And the first thing he did is implement a weight training program. He was like way past his time. He was way before he knew what he was doing before anybody else knew what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And he made all of us come back in the summertime and lift weights. And next thing you know, we're all walking around buffed up and looking all freaky. And then it got to a point. The funniest thing is it got to a point where they had actually the seminars about not taking steroids. I didn't take steroids until I was in college, so I don't know what the hell they were talking about.
Yeah,
we were just eating and lifting weights and having fun.
Well, that's how you know. That's how you know you're a God-given bodybuilder. Like when you work out and it just comes. It's just coming. I think Ronnie and Kai didn't take juice until after they turned pro and all that and whatnot, and then they really exploded. But who were the bodybuilders you looked up to? Who did you admire when you were growing up, or did you admire anybody? Were you following other sports?
No, I was. My entire room was filled with pictures of bodybuilders. My entire locker in high school was pictures of bodybuilders. Kevin Levrone. Flex Wheeler, Paul Dillette, Nasser El Somebody, Lee Haney. I mean, all those guys were gods to me.
Yeah. Lee doesn't seem to get as much credit as Ronnie, Jay, Phil, and he was an 8-time Mr. Olympia. Why do you think that is?
I would beg to differ, man. I think if you asked Ronnie Coleman, Ronnie would say Lee's still the greatest of all time.
Right.
It was just a different era, man.
Yeah.
Dorian came and he changed everything. It became a mass monster game.
That's true. Yeah.
So when the mass monster game came, we're like, okay, what about all the guys with the aesthetics? Then suddenly Ronnie has aesthetics and mass. I'm like, what the fuck are we going to do now?
Yeah, right.
You know,
Where
so
do we go from here?
Exactly. Then it went to another. Now, you know, we're at the super freak level.
Yeah. Everybody's Ronnie Coleman now.
Trying to be Ronnie Coleman.
Trying to be. Nobody's Ronnie Coleman, but everybody's over 300 pounds.
Exactly.
You know, when did you turn pro?
In 1999.
And what show was that?
That was the NPC Nationals. I won the heavyweights in the NPC Nationals.
Okay. Do me a favor. Explain the difference between turning pro in the 90s and turning pro now. Like, I don't want to discredit anybody who turns pro now. It's still an accomplishment.
Right.
But in the 90s, if you turned pro,
you were a star.
You were automatically a star. You were a star. Automatically shot to the top of bodybuilding.
You got a special invite immediately to go straight to the Olympia.
Okay.
That's something that not many people know. The national champion, United States national champion, got a special invite to go straight to the Mr. Olympia. You are already a star. Well, I mean, we just had this discussion. I did an interview last night with Melvin for RX Muscle, and we just discussed the same exact thing. You know, for Melvin, especially for the USA guys, one pro card was handed out.
That's
the entire overall champion of the show. Now you hand out 120 pro cards per show.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean,
it's just gotten to a point where, listen, if Steve Weinberger and Jim Mannion were sitting next to me, they're both good friends of mine. I consider them like my older brothers, to be honest with you.
Right.
I can shoot shit with them and I can talk to them about anything. You know, I'm not like that they know me and they know that I don't hold back. I would say the same thing to them, but it's a give and take. So if you're a promoter, if you were a promoter 20 years ago, you would make, if you're lucky, $3,000, $5,000 from a show. Now you're making $60,000 just bikini and men's physique alone.
Right.
So it's like, it's good for the promoters. It's good for making money, but the prestige, the level of physiques and the aesthetics, and it's not even close.
No, not even. I mean, it's like going from college to the NFL. I mean, the guys get annihilated. And then I guess, you know, the best just kind of rise to the top. Is that their argument, that the best is going to rise to the top anyway?
Yes and no. You know, right now it's more like, if you ask, I mean, I don't know for sure, it's my opinion, but if you ask Jim Mannion, he says we're building the sport. Our sport is bigger than ever. You know, it's getting more notoriety. We have The Rock, we have Triple H, we have Shaq coming to the shows. We have this. And Mark Wahlberg, you know, okay, I get it. It's there. But you'll never, ever see the NPC Nationals, I believe it was 83 or 85, Flex Wheeler, Chris Cormier, Ronnie Coleman. I mean, 5, you know, all-star Hall of Famers in the top 5 at the Nationals. You'll never see that again, man.
Yeah. I was actually having this conversation with Leah Denny. We were talking about the 212 class. And I said, the 212 class is so deep that the guy that won the Puerto Rico Pro, I never heard of in my life.
Right.
Pator or something or other. I have no clue who this person was, you know, and I think that's just because so many people are getting pro cards, but you know, it is.
Plus, not to mention that the world has opened up to bodybuilding too, right?
Yes. That was my next one. But before we get to that, how far did you go as a pro? How many wins did you have?
I didn't have any wins.
Really?
No.
What was
my first show? I qualified. I got 3rd place at the Ironman Pro at my pro debut, which qualified me for the Olympia. Which was, I was 28 years old and I qualified. I believe it was the 2nd or 3rd youngest to ever do that. That to me was check on my bucket list. Going to getting a special invite right after that to the Arnold Classic 2 weeks later, beating Dexter Jackson. That was another check on my list, and qualifying for the Olympia again.
Yeah, if you beat Dexter Jackson, that's like a win.
Exactly. So then going to my first Olympia, cracking the top 10, beating a lot of guys who are legitimate stars like Marcus and Vince Taylor and Gustav. I mean, Gunter, you know, beating all those guys again, and getting that standing ovation and all the stuff that happened that night. I mean, these are check marks. Listen, when it comes to the winning shows and stuff like that, I always say the same thing. I came up in an era, I was going up against mega stars, and I was going up against people who were the greatest in Hall of Famers. And could I have continued? I made certain decisions in my life, and never, ever will I say anything about making excuses. It was all my fault, on my shoulders. I made these decisions. I came to New York. I met my wife here, my ex-wife here, and it changed everything for me. My mindset, my friends, I left everything behind, and it was a up and down. So many people say, "Hey, King, how come you were like third in this show and then 12th at the next one, and then fourth in this show and then eighth?" And I was like, well, because I was living. I don't want to say anything that's going to be harmful or hateful to someone, but I married a woman who wasn't into the sport. Does that make sense?
That makes
so I didn't
complete
have
sense.
a partner in crime. I didn't have somebody who's going to back me up. When I was in Virginia, I had my restaurants. They had my name on the goddamn register. They knew me. When I walked in, they just pushed a button: chicken, rice, broccoli, chicken, rice. And my friends and my gym, I had my whole. When I came to New York, it was different. And moving around and doing this and that. I don't regret it. Because I have two amazing kids that I love being a father more than anything.
You married a headache, and a lot of guys do that. You're not the only one.
I married a woman who was not supportive of the sport, and she hated it. And unfortunately, it rubbed off a little bit.
Yeah. If you don't have somebody, I say this all the time, when you get married, you need a cheerleader. You need a supporter, no matter what you do, and I'm not going to put that on you. She knew what she was marrying.
At the same time I met my wife, my ex-wife, I was being set up by a lot of people, pushed in the direction of a original champion. I'm not going to say who it was. I'm not going to say which division it was. It wasn't bodybuilding, but she was a champion. And we talked, and we were supposed to get together and stuff and be the power couple of bodybuilding. But, you can't help who you fall in love with. So I went the opposite direction, and it changed things a little bit. But I have no doubt. I have no regrets. I'm cool.
No, I completely understand. And I think that's, you come from a very traditional Middle Eastern background. And Western women, a lot of Western women don't have those traditions anymore. Some do. My wife, thank God, does, but I didn't get married till I was 38,
There you go.
So, you ever watch that show, Mob Wives? And then their husband gets arrested, and then they get crying and they're freaking out. How could this happen? You married a gangster. What? You knew exactly what you were marrying.
Yeah.
Anyway, so a few years back, I always watch RX Muscle. I had Dave on a couple of weeks ago, man. Great interview. And you called it a few years back. And you said, you watch and see these Middle Eastern bodybuilders are going to come out of the woodwork.
Yes.
And you must have called that, I don't know, 8-10 years ago. I don't remember. Maybe 8 years ago. And all of a sudden, these they're coming from, Canada and Europe, but Middle East is just producing these champion bodybuilders, like with genetics like never seen before. Why? Where'd that come from?
Okay.
And why now?
Okay, so I'll give you I'll put the politically correct answer aside, and I'll give you the truth. A couple of reasons. Number one, genetics. You said it best. Middle Eastern have the best of black, best of white. Then you got Middle Eastern. Okay, that's number one. Okay, number two, no fear of drugs. Absolutely fearless.
Okay.
Talking 60 units of insulin a day. 60.
Jesus Christ, man.
30 to 40 IUs of growth a day. Maybe 10 anadrol a day. Handful. I tell the story all the time. I'm not going to mention names, but someone, when I did a seminar, was asking me how much D-ball do I take? And I was giving milligram doses of what I take, and they didn't understand. So I'm like, well, explain to me, how much do you take? He goes, about this much. No. And I said, and I couldn't understand. I looked at the guy, the interpreter next to me. I'm like, I don't understand. He goes, he's telling you, he pours it in his hand and it feels right. Then that's how much he takes.
Jesus Christ.
So when I hear things like that, I think to myself, okay, that's why they look the way they do. That's why they're coming up. That's why when they see, what you don't hear is what I hear. How many of them are dying per year?
Really?
Hundreds and hundreds of them are dying per year. Hundreds are dying per year. And it's just no fear. Now, the next one is accessibility. When I went to Iran and I did my seminars about 5 years ago, I had the best time in the world, and I got to see the country like nobody else. I mean, I was with the 1%ers. So I got to see the amazing side, Bugattis and fucking mansions and parties. And I saw all that stuff, Every night around 2 o'clock in the morning, there was a pharmacy called All Star or Star something pharmacy in the middle of Tehran. All I said to the guy was, let's stop by. Sure. I will give him 10 American dollars, $10. I would give him. What do you want? Give me a 50 IUs of growth. Give me 200 milligrams of test, and give me about 10 tabs of this and blah, 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 or a strip of this. $10. He'll go in, come back out, pharmaceutical grade. No prescription needed. Not just walk in, American dollar, walk out.
That's
so
amazing.
when you have that type of accessibility to real shit, of course you're going to start looking a certain way.
Yeah, and you're going to take as you're going to take as much as you possibly can.
And they don't care. And in every seminar I did, they didn't want to hear about food. They didn't want to hear about supplements. They didn't hear about training. How much GH do I take? How much insulin do I take? When do I take it? Where do I inject? Is there such thing as spot injections? This and that. That's all drugs. Drugs. And I believe me, I tried my hardest to explain to them. No, it's the food. I keep trying to pound food in their head. They're like, no, you guys in America. No, you guys lie. You lying to us.
Okay. Well, what about when a Middle Eastern bodybuilder pairs up with a trainer? Like, for example, I mean, I don't know his philosophy on the drugs and whatnot, but a guy like Hassan is with Chris Aceto, and Chris Aceto is a big believer, and all you need is a little bit. How does that change? And does it change? Or like you just said, it's very difficult to make them understand that. How would somebody like Chris get somebody like Hassan to understand that?
You're going to have to ask Chris. I would have no idea. But I mean, the most current example I can give you is, what's that guy name? What's his name from the black kid from Florida, the boogeyman?
God, I know who you're talking about. Jesus Christ.
Blessing
Owodobu. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So now he left Chad Nichols and he's going to the Camel Crew, right?
Right.
Okay, what do you think that means? Let's translate what that means. Okay, is there something that they know that Chad Nichols doesn't know? Chad invented this shit. Chad, I know Chad's brain inside and out. I know everything that this guy does from beginning to the end to the second you step on stage. I've worked with Milos. I've worked with McNeil. I've worked with all of these guys. Okay. Mm-hmm. There is no difference between A, B, and C. The only difference is drugs.
Right.
Different types of philosophies of how you get ready and how you do things, right? Okay. I love Milos like an older brother, okay? But everyone knows Milos is a firm believer in insulin. Insulin, okay? Mm-hmm. There's other guys who Chad doesn't believe in it. Don't touch insulin. We don't need it, blah, blah. Okay, that's it. That's the only difference. So what's going to happen to Blessing when he goes over there? Is he going to immediately transform into some God-like figure or something? No, it's like, I always say this to people. Everyone used to say to Dorian, if Nasser gets a back, he'll beat you. And Dorian's response was, Nasser's been training for 16 years. What makes you think in 1 year he's going to get a back?
That's a good point. Yeah.
How are you going to argue with Dorian? He's right.
Yeah.
He's been training for 16 years. How do you think in 1 year he's going to get a back? So it's the same concept. It doesn't matter how much you pump into your body. It's genetics, it's food, it's rest, it's all that stuff. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's that Camel Crew kind of thing is a phenomenon because they did take Brandon Curry and change him. That's for sure. If you were a bodybuilder today, would you have taken that deal going to the Middle East with the Camel Crew?
I would have to sit down and listen to what they're offering. I've talked to some people. I have good friends I have people who are friends of me here in New York. I'm sure you can probably figure out who went there, who didn't like what was going on and came back and said, no, it's not really for me.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So it all depends, but I don't like to go for me. I don't want somebody to sit there and say, here's 7 syringes. I won't tell you what it is. Just take it. And we'll pay for your food. We'll pay for this. No, thank you, man. I want to know what it is.
Yeah. I guess it depends how desperate you are and how naive you are, and how what you would listen to. It's difficult because
how crazy you are. Don't forget the word crazy.
Yeah, like you just don't give a shit. Yeah, I need to do this.
There was a point in my life, okay, when I was competing where I knew things were wrong internally, but I didn't want to know.
Okay. I get what you're
Okay?
saying.
I don't
Okay.
know what's wrong with me. I don't
Okay.
know. Why am I, when they drug tested us when they drug tested us in 2001, the
Mhm.
guy is standing right after prejudging. The guy's standing there with a cup and he's watching you. You got to pull your dick out right in front of him and pee. Okay. I sat there for 10 minutes. It was me and Marcus Rule, the last two left. And we both didn't have any fluids left. I'm like, I don't have any water. I don't know what you want me to do. So the guy's like, I need something. So I stood there and I waited and I waited. And God, hands in the Bible, I don't know what came out of me, but it was some type of sticky honey substance. Something came out. And he looked at it. He goes, what the hell is this? I said, that's what I got, man.
That's it. Yeah.
That's the first time I said, I actually called Chad after the finals. And I said, Chad, I think I need to go get blood work done to figure out what the fuck is going on. He goes, absolutely. And thank God, it was just minor stuff.
All right, good. For people who don't know, Chad Nichols is basically one of the greatest guru coaches in the world. Right? He trained Ronnie Coleman. He trained you. He trained Big Ramy,
Chris Cormier. His wife was 6-time Miss Olympia.
That's right. Oh, so last night you were on RX Muscle. I didn't get to watch the whole thing, but you guys were talking about Kai Greene.
Yeah.
And if he's not making a comeback, what was the outcome of the discussion last night?
I mean, basically, it came down to if Kai comes in at 100%, what would happen? And it was the majority consensus of almost everybody that he would win. Mm-hmm. Me and Dave were the only two that were like,
yeah, I don't know either because it's 5 years and he's 40 something now is a big difference.
Well, listen, again, it goes back to what you just said about a few minutes ago about taking pictures and what you look like.
That's right.
Kai put his best shot, his most muscular hand on hip, flexing his crazy ass feathered quads.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Well, he's standing by himself and he looks great. Fantastic. All right. Stand him next to someone like Cedric McMillan at 100% with shape and structure.
Mm-hmm.
Or Ramy with that mass and size. Now Kai can't outmass him. I mean, it depends. Right. You have to stand next to each other, and then we decide who wins and who doesn't.
Right. But what is there a lot of rumors floating around that he is coming back, or is it just hearsay like every other year?
From what Milos said, and Milos usually has inside information, Milos said he's 100% sure Kai is going to be at the Olympia.
Really? Wow. Okay. I hope so, because I kind of jumped off the Kai Greene train after he's been teasing you for how many years. I kind of like every time I see an article of him coming back or a social media thing, I just go past him. Like, okay, whatever.
From what I understand right now, and I'm not sure if these numbers are correct, but I believe Singerman is paying him over 30 G's a month.
Jesus Christ.
If that's the case, then he has the finances.
That's right. Yeah, he signed with Redcon.
He has the ability, finances, and backing of Redcon to come in at that best. And that when it comes to that elite level, if the money's there and if the stress is low, you're going to come in at your best. So we'll see.
Okay. So I sent you a clip of me interviewing Leah Denny, and we talked about women's bodybuilding as a fetish. And I used you as an example because a few years back, you were on Generation Iron. And the conversation.
You threw me under the bus, bro.
I did.
Threw me under the bus.
I was actually fishing, hoping you'd come on. It worked.
I was going to come on anyway, but yeah, go ahead. I remember that.
Cool. Yeah. So, and you had said, my argument was, these girls. I don't think it's a good thing. I think, like I said in the interview with Leah, I think it leads to a life of decadence. I think it leads to a life of toxicity and so on and so forth. But there's really no money in women's bodybuilding. What else could you? And you can't shit on somebody's hustle.
Correct. But they have is his name Jake Ward or Wood?
Yes.
They have him now, and he loves women's bodybuilding. Well, so he's bringing it back to the forefront. Listen, I give these girls all the credit in the world. As a matter of fact, today, finally, I got one of my clients, Capucine from Queens, to come down. Mm-hmm. And I, literally beat the living fuck out of her on.
I saw it on Instagram.
She was gone. I mean, she was in the fifth chamber of hell, and I took her. And I give all due respect, and everybody in the gym, when I left, they were like, "Holy shit!" And they're like, "So that's pro level." I'm like, "Yes." You guys now see what it takes to get to that level of professional status. Even with the girls, it takes a different mindset. You got to be able to take yourself to a new level of suffering.
Yeah.
And it was a good lesson for all the kids today in the gym. They got to see something special.
Oh, all right, good. So if you don't mind, you had told a story about one of your friends who was a woman's bodybuilder, and you used to do morning cardio with her.
Yes.
Would you mind repeating that story?
She was elite.
Okay.
Best in the world. Just one of the greatest female bodybuilders there is, in my opinion. Just unbelievable. Nicest woman in the world. And she would come, and every Monday, and there would be a big duffel bag, Adidas duffel bag next to her. And we would do cardio together. And then one day I just asked her, I said, "What's up with the bag?" She goes, "Well, look in it." Looked in the bag, it was stacked with cash. So I said, "Would you rob a bank?" She goes, "I wish I robbed the bank." And then she explained it to me. She goes, "No, I have a website, secret website. I wrestle guys. I choke them out.
Yeah.
I step on their balls.
Oh my God.
I do all this stuff, and they pay me." And I'm like, "Hey, good for you. If that's what it takes, and that's how much money you're making. I mean, God, go for it." When I said that women's bodybuilding is a fetish, men's bodybuilding is a fucking fetish too.
Oh,
all right. Yeah. If I walk down the street, like, for me, it's always been the same. When somebody first sees me, they're scared, they're intimidated, or they think that I'm there. But they talk to me for 2 minutes, and I hear it. I've heard it about a million times in my life. I didn't think you'd be like this.
Yeah.
I really didn't think you're not what I thought you would be. Yeah. I just finished dating a girl for 4 weeks before I cut it off. Same thing. She's used to dating old rich guys.
Right.
And she dated me for 4 weeks, and she's just like, "I never thought you would ever be like this," and this and that. And it's just, once you get to know and all that stuff, and they're the same way. But unfortunately, or fortunately for us, we're okay to look big and beefy. We're men. When the women look big and beefy, they look like sideshow freaks.
Right.
And it's a certain, clientele, certain type of person. I believe they call them schmoes, right?
Is that what they call them?
Yeah, they call them schmoes. The schmoes go for that. And I get it. Listen, I don't anymore, but when I was coming up, and I would get emails and messages. I'll send me your sweaty underwear. I'll give you $500. We all got weirdos like that.
From guys or girls?
From guys and girls.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yes, from guys and girls. And what happens is if you want to go down that road. Right. Because if you go down that road,
it's like opening Pandora's box.
Yes, because it's easy money. Then you're like, wait a second, I just got $500 in my Venmo account.
Right.
For sending some fucking douchebag my underwear. Okay, fuck it, I'll do it again. What's next? What's
right?
Right. Just go down that road.
Yeah, and that's the interview with Leah, she actually has a good career. She's in pharmaceuticals. I don't know exactly what she does, but she actually has a really good career. So she stays away from that. But I know a lot of girls that do it. And like I said, man, you can't shit on their hustle. But like you said, it kind of just leads to the next thing, at least to a life of decadence. And I don't think it becomes healthy at a certain point.
I agree.
But can't shit on anybody's hustle, man. I mean, it is what it is.
I don't care. I get contacted by professionals and girls and muscular and this and that, and I don't want to know what they do. I'm just helping them, and I diet them down, and I show them the little tricks, and do what you got to do. I don't care. Just don't involve me in that shit.
Right. All right. So changing the topic a little bit. Years back, you had this huge feud with a bodybuilder called Craig Titus. Yeah. And you guys legitimately didn't like each other from what I used to read in the magazines. Is that accurate?
Yes and no. Yes. At the beginning, yes. But then for me, it just became fun. And for him, it became serious.
How did that beef start?
He was the first person it's like fishing. You throw it out there and see who bites. And how it started was simple. I contacted Flex Magazine. I was in Virginia. And I was like, look, you guys are not giving me any fucking press. How can I get to anything? How can I get photo shoots going into my pro debut? And the guy, I forgot his name, Jim Schmaltz, I think it was. He said, well, controversy will get you in there. You have anything to say? I'm like, yeah, West Coast bodybuilders are soft. East Coast bodybuilders were a lot tougher, this and that. He goes, he says, you sure you want me to print this? I'm like, yes, do it. And then they printed it. Next thing you know, Craig went nuts, and then Melvin bit a little bit, this and that, and then it just started. But the whole thing was, when I contacted Chad about that, he goes, "Yeah, that's fine, but you got to back it up." So I said, "Okay," and I said, "How do I back it up?" He goes, "Well, you took 2 years off from the Nationals win, and you went from 225 to now 248. So you put on 20 pounds of muscle in 2 years. You're ready now. But we got to come in disgusting conditioning. I said, do it, Chad. Tell me what to do. I'll drink wolf piss if I have to. Just tell me what to do.
All right.
And I suffered. I really, really suffered for that first show.
But it spilled over. Didn't it spill over on stage with you and Craig? You guys used to have words on stage.
It's spilled over many times, but to me, it started to be fun. And I think we kind of squashed it in Australia in 2005 because I remember Wayne D'Amelio was like, he's like, what should we do? The crowd, and I'm like, Wayne, call me and him out. I was talking to him while prejudging was going. I'm like, Wayne, call us out. Me and him, just call us out. And he did, and the crowd went ape shit. And you've seen the video. We were yelling and screaming at each other, this and that. And afterwards, he was backstage and he was huffing and puffing. And I made a beeline straight towards him. And he thought that I was going to fight him. And I said, you're a fucking nightmare, but that was so much fun and it was great for the fans. And then he took a step back and he goes, oh, all right, man. And that was it.
Oh, all right.
Kind of squashed it after that. But the difference between Craig and I was Craig, he was a criminal. Okay?
Yeah. He was no quiet boy.
He was like semi-evil. He was a snake, you know. I wasn't like that. I'm more of a giver, and I'm more of a, I was raised correctly by outstanding, amazing parents and a good childhood and all that stuff. So that was the major thing. I just didn't understand, and I didn't want to be a part of that. So I kind of stayed away. I was not surprised at all when they killed that poor girl and stuffed her in a suitcase and burned her body in the car.
Melissa James, that was her name.
I wasn't surprised.
Do you want to discuss that? Do you know in detail what happened?
We don't know exactly what happened, but everybody can guess. They were high and something happened.
So it was Craig Titus and his girlfriend, Kelly Ryan, right?
Correct.
And supposedly Craig Titus was having an affair with their home assistant.
Their assistant, exactly.
Melissa James. And somehow, some way, go ahead, you can continue.
There was a fight, and I think Kelly confronted her and said, are you messing around with my husband? And this is, again, all speculation. And then somehow no one knows. Only Craig and Kelly know. She was killed, and they tried to cover it up. And they went to what's that guy's name from Motley Crue? Neil, the lead singer, Vince Neil.
Okay,
he was one of their neighbors. They went to Vince's house, and Vince was like, "Get the fuck out of here with that." And then they ended up going to Walmart at 1:00 in the morning. It's all on videotape.
Jesus
buying Christ. A whole bunch of lighter fluid, and then they took their car to the middle of the desert and lit it on fire, and she was in a suitcase in the trunk.
Mamma mia.
And then they jumped in a car and they drove cross country, and they got busted in Boston while Kelly's getting her nails done and Craig was sleeping in the car.
Like nothing.
You can't make this shit up.
It's amazing they didn't make a movie out of it. Like,
funny you should say that. I was contacted by
really?
A famous producer. I'm not going to mention names again.
Okay.
I was contacted, and they wanted me to be a part of a whole documentary, movie, whatever the fuck it was. I said, hell no. Keep me the fuck away from that, man. I don't want to be a part of that.
I don't blame you, man. Wouldn't want to be involved with that either.
Fuck that shit. No way.
That kind of goes to show you what kind of people they were. They had just murdered somebody. They ran halfway across the country, and he's sleeping and she's getting her nails done. That's unbelievable. So he got pretty much life, right? He got 20 to 50 years. He pretty much got life in jail.
Yeah, and Kelly got out a few years ago. And from what I heard, she's down in North Carolina, and she's she's in church every day, and she's in Bible groups and Bible studies and this and that. And
she's been MIA. She has not made any kind of interviews or anything like that. I kind of don't blame her. You know what I mean? I guess if being a born again helps her, then go right ahead.
I mean, listen, you put a girl in a suitcase.
There's no forgiving that.
Trunk of your car, and then you burn it, and then there's video of you buying lighter fluid at Walmart. You can't make that shit up.
Yeah, and from what I understand, even if you were to get Craig to have an interview, he's a bit of a tall tale teller, if you will. Is that accurate? He likes to make things up, and
I don't know Craig like that, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
I knew Craig because he hired my original coach who helped me win the collegiate national championships. And when he hired
Oh
me,
yes,
yeah. So that's how I really knew Craig. And then from the circuit, that's about it.
Mm-hmm. Did Amin's stepson pass?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, that's kind of sad. I actually donated to the fund that he had for his stepson, but that's actually really, really sad when he was on RX Muscle.
Yeah, very sad.
So what do you got in store? Are you just going to be training people? Are you training any champions, any pros? Have you trained anybody that turned pro?
I've trained many people that turn pro, but
really,
most of them they're doing their own thing right now. And when COVID hit, they started to realize that life, you have to have a backup plan. You have to have plan B.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because plan A is not going to do it. And you just made a good point anyway. You said that there's no money in the sport for certain people. I mean, who's making money in the sport, man? You tell me.
Promoters.
This is not 15 to 20 years ago when Muscle Tech or Porsche. I mean, I was blessed, knock on wood, to be in an era with the Muscle Tech Supers. I mean, I will say right now, I'm not just saying this because so they can call me up and say, King, we want to get you back on our team. I don't want to do that. But Muscle Tech was primo first class. The way they treated you, the way they would have food ready for you in your room, the travel, the this, the that, the taking care of you. You don't have that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have.
If you don't hustle,
where's Phil Heath's contract?
Right,
where's Dexter Jackson's contract? Everybody's hustling to make money right now because some blow Joe retard schmuckle nuts in YouTube who has 10 million followers is making or some girl who's fucking turning around and showing her ass and shaking her tits on TikTok.
That's right.
Is making all the money.
No, I actually had an interview with Mike Aiello. Mike Aiello is an elite arm wrestler, and he arm wrestled in a tournament, WAL. He's one of the best in the world, and he gets a call, and they want him to arm wrestle Juji Mufu, the YouTube guy. And this guy jumped ahead of 30 guys that has been trying their damnedest to get to this point. And because he has a YouTube with 3 million followers, he gets to arm wrestle Mike Aiello. Of course, he didn't stand a chance. He got destroyed. But you know how many guys wanted that spot?
Well, I mean, you have to understand. And I understand, like, if you look at Dana White and they say, Dana, what do you think about Floyd Mayweather and this guy, Jake Paul? And he goes, oh, I respect their hustle. But I bet you deep down, the sportsman in him, the guy who represents, who remembers Mike Tyson Roy Jones Jr. and Marvin Hagler, they would have never done that.
No, definitely.
Can you imagine Marvin Hagler doing that? Are you fucking kidding me?
No. It's
or Sugar Ray Leonard or
Boxing has become a sideshow. It's become, let's see how much money. Yeah, it's sad. It really is. So give me some plugs. Do you have a website people can contact you if they want you to train?
Instagram, man, at King Kamali. If you contact me through Instagram, and my email has been the same for 30 years, KingKamali@hotmail.
Okay, so I'm going to put that in the comment section so people know where to contact you if they want to train or get in shape or get a pro card.
Let me just say, I get contacted about probably between 20 to 30 people a day.
No, good for you, man. That's great.
Here's the thing. I don't accept anyone who's not serious. Keep your money, go pay somebody else. Right. I'm tired of that. I want people that are serious. I don't want people who get my program and then they don't do anything but just tell people, oh, my coach is king. No, go fuck off. Give us, well, before I let you go, give me one, again, don't mention any names, but give us one example of like a terrible person you had to train that you just were like, you know what, forget it, that it's over. Was there somebody that just out and out woman from the Hamptons? I believe she was a multi-millionaire socialite and absolutely didn't like to sweat, didn't go to the gym, was on a boat drinking every day. Every day I saw pictures of her with her Louis Vuitton bag with a champagne. And I would be like, what are you doing? She goes, oh, I'm going to send you a check again tomorrow. Finally just got to a point where I said, man, no, see, I can't do it. Don't keep your money. I can't do it.
Yeah. What's the point? What's the point? People want to see progress. Trainers want to see progress because they want to know that their skills are going in the proper direction. And then they could say, look what I produced. What's the
I get a kick out of that, man. I get a kick out of watching these transformations when people contact. I got a guy who contacted me who was a cab driver in England. Mm-hmm. He said all his friends, he would send me screenshots of how his friends making fun of him. And he said, I'm going to hire somebody to get me ready for a bodybuilding show. They were laughing at him and making fun of him. Guess what? He won. And they couldn't believe it. I changed that kid's life, and and his wife called me crying, and those are the ones that I love.
Yeah. I actually saw an RX Muscle with you, and it was a guru talk. It was you and I believe who's the guy from Queens? Great trainer. I forgot.
Factory?
Yes. And you guys were saying, trying to figure out or trying to talk about what makes a great trainer. And one of the things were taking an average person and making him win the overall at a local show. And
don't train Branch Warren and say, I'm a fucking coach. Branch Warren will eat dirt, train like a beast. Branch is an animal, and he's a professional bodybuilder. Okay. He knows what he's doing. Dexter Jack. Don't say, hey, I got Dexter Jackson ready. Fuck off.
Yeah. So
Dexter Jackson knows what he's doing. Get fucking Billy from down the street.
Right.
Who plays lacrosse and has who goes out drinking at night. Turn him into a champion, and then you're a fucking good coach.
Yeah, you're right. And there are coaches like that jump on, and that just jump on that bandwagon.
Look at how many coaches Ramy's been to.
Oh my God!
This coach, that coach, that coach, that. And what happened? This is the best part. This is the part I love the best. What worked? Dennis James babysitting him and forcing him to do 2 hours of cardio a day. That worked.
Do they're probably going to have to do that again in order for him to repeat.
Absolutely.
Do you think he's going to repeat?
If he does 2 hours of cardio a day, if he doesn't eat those carbs, if he doesn't eat the junk stuff, yes, he can do it. No question. He can repeat.
Yeah. King, I'm going to let you go. And I really appreciate this, man. This was, you were one of the bodybuilders I wanted to get on for an interview from the beginning. Once I started, definitely. It was, I had like a handful of guys that I wanted to get. It was you, Dave, Jason Owens, Vinny Galante. Vinny Galante is coming on at the end of July, but it was all because of my childhood. That's all it was. It was like, who are the guys I admired as a kid? I got to get those guys on. So you were definitely one of them, man.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Listen, have a good night, brother. And
you too, man.
I appreciate everything. And I'll let you know when this comes out, and you throw it on your social media.
All right, brother. I will. Peace.
Thanks a lot, brother.
You got it. Anytime.
All right. Later.